Hello, welcome back to my channel. In this video I will talk about some of the things that I learned after my grandma's death, more like reminders. I want to talk about emotional intelligence, why it is so important in our daily life for our emotional health. I want to also reference my favorite books, 1 Minute Mindfulness and the 4 Agreements, so I'll get into those in a little bit. If that sounds interesting, please keep on watching, and if you're new here, my name is Gabriela and I make videos centered around health. What is emotional intelligence? According to Oxford Languages, emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of, control and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. So with that being said, I want you to focus on aware and control. That's like the most important thing needed for emotional intelligence, right? Because we have to constantly be aware throughout our day of our emotions, and then also have to be aware that we are in control of our emotions. We are in control of what we put out or what we handle. Like the definition said, you know, how you handle those interpersonal relationships. So we'll get into that in a minute. I want to go back now to my grandma's death. So yeah, I did lose my grandma last year due to COVID in July, and it was one of the hardest things ever. To this day, it's almost about to be a year, almost kind of. And I still think about it randomly. I still get so sad. The pain is still the same. So she was living in another country, so I wasn't always with her, but the time that I did have her, and the time that I just spent with her, like physically, it was amazing. The relationship was so pure and we just were constantly laughing. That lady, she is so funny. And yeah, so sometimes I'm like, okay, I thought I was funny, but despite all the pain that I felt or feel, because it still happens once in a while, like I'll literally just randomly think about her and it'll just like get me so emotional. So despite all of that, I always remind myself, like when I'm like crying or I'm so sad, I stop and I reflect and I think, you know what, I am so grateful that I had the control of treating her how I did. I'm so grateful of having the peace of mind to consciously be aware that I treated her good 100%, that I never once, you know, raised my voice at her, and also I'm so grateful that she knew that she knew the love was real, that she knew the respect was real at all times. You know, I know for a fact that she knew that she felt that, most importantly. Like I said in the beginning, it reminds me that we are in control of what we put out there and how we treat people. And I know it's easier said than done, but that's why I want to talk about my favorite book. I know I've shared it in my highlights, in my IG. If you guys follow me, a lot of you guys reach out whenever I share. It's my favorite book, so I did a highlight in order to maybe help another person who's watching my stories and they come across this quote from the this quote or message from the book. Through that book, I read it probably 3-4 years ago. I realized, you know what, I am in control. Every second in my life, every minute, I am in control. So that's why it's called 1 Minute Mindfulness. The author encourages you to, whenever you're faced with something, whenever you're faced with someone's action, someone's words, take a minute and be aware of whatever is affecting you in that moment, and then you be aware that you are in control in the next minute, in the next 60 seconds. You are in control of how are you going to react to that, or what are you going to put back out there. So I read that book a couple of years ago and I reflected and I started to think, okay, let me think about the relationships in my life right now, and can I be a better person? Can I be more kind? Can I do this? You know, can I control my emotions? So I reflected and I came to the conclusion, okay, that maybe I am a little feisty, I would say, towards my brothers. Or my sister. You know, I reflected and I said, those are literally, I have 3 brothers, 3 brothers, 1 sister. So I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm only mean to them, and that's so not okay. I am in control. Whatever we have, whatever dispute we have, whatever goes on, let's just, you know, let's find peace towards it. So I'll never forget, like literally after reading that book, whatever little thing that happened, like with my brothers or something, I would stay calm. I would like just collect myself, and then I would literally start telling them, why did you say that? I don't treat you like that. Why did you say that to me? Is everything going on? Like, is everything good today? Totally. And I know it's like, girl, come on, really? Like my brothers. So I know it sounds so like unattainable, like it's not possible to have that, you know, open conversation. But trust me, it's a life changer. Once you start truly stopping yourself and being in control of your emotions and knowing that you're in control of the peace around you, it's so easy. So I wanted to also share, I had a work training for this company that I worked with, and it was so amazing. I actually love that company, the like clinical side of it. So we always had like trainings, and we had like psychologists, psychiatrists come in and like give us a training, because we were dealing with a lot of kids with trauma and stuff like that. So I saw this video they showed during our training that was so good. I hope I can find it. I haven't searched it up. I knew I wanted to include it in this video, but I haven't searched it up, so I might find it, and if I find it, I'll link it or insert a clip. But basically, if I can remember, the video was kind of like a message to parents, but I'll take that as a message to all humans, because I learned from it and it really did touch me. So I think it was like a psychologist, and this video was like really old. It kind of looked like old school, like what's that movie, like The Twilight Zone? It kind of looked like those. But basically the message of that video was, why do parents talk to their kids, or not talk to them, like yell at them, or, you know, punish them right away? Why is that the first instinct when an accident happens? For example, I think what they used in the video was like, say you're having dinner with a group of friends, you know, you're having dinner, wine night, whatever, and they come to the house and your kid accidentally drops a glass of wine. What do parents usually do or something? Like they start yelling, they're like, you know, why did you do that? And start trying to punish or be, what's the word? Not defiant. Sorry, discipline. Try to discipline the kid. I think the psychologist then flips the script around and said, okay, now picture this. It wasn't your kid who dropped it. It was your friend, the guest that, you know, you had over for dinner. Your friend accidentally dropped it. What do? What's your action? What's your reaction? And the typical thing would probably be like, oh no, don't worry about it. You know, I'll clean it up. Like, don't worry about it. It's an accident. Accidents happen. Puts it into a perspective where it's like, we're literally all humans. Why are you reacting to this human in a certain way and this one differently? I just want to throw out that little example, and that little example helps me with my relationships with my siblings. Sometimes literally I have to remind myself, like, okay, if another person were to do it, I would have reacted so differently. So understanding, more, you know, more understanding. So that's my tip when I'm like working through being in control and aware of my emotions. So that's having emotional intelligence. And like I keep saying, I'm gonna repeat it because it's true. It's easier said than done. Like, we are humans. We have been trained, especially I think in Western culture, we do have a tendency to have things fast, to not have patience. Our culture is very demanding, very individualistic. So I feel like we have to constantly train ourselves to be more understanding. Coffee break. You guys know if I'm having hot coffee in my video, I am talking a lot. So if you have it, that's emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is needed for good emotional health. I did want to use those examples. I did want to talk about my book. I'll leave the link down in the description box because a lot of people reach out every time I post it on my Instagram stories. So I hope you guys can look at that one. And also I did want to talk about the Don Miguel Ruiz and the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Something that really, you know, resonated with me throughout the years. I read this book a few years back. Don Miguel Ruiz, he kind of explained something about like children and childhood, and how when we are growing up, children are meant to be so pure in the sense that they want to just give love and they don't lie, and you know, they're so honest, and they're trying to like, they're so vulnerable. I think, I don't know if he used that word, but that's kind of what I took it as, that they're not afraid to be vulnerable. They're not afraid to show their emotions. They're not afraid to give love. And as humans, we neglect that. We've been taught to, trying to get the word. We have been taught to suppress and hide our emotions. And sadly, we grow up and we forget these things. We forget to be vulnerable. We forget that it's okay to be vulnerable, that nothing's wrong with being vulnerable, with expressing our love. I'm saying this because I wanted to share an example. My professor literally broke down to us this week on Monday. So right now it's the end of the week, it's Friday. She broke down. It was the saddest thing ever. She broke down on Monday, and the reason for that was there was like mixed emotions. I think she said she was really busy, like she has stuff going on, like she's really involved with like other organizations and her own research. So I think she was kind of expressing like that she gets that it's a frustrating time right now, that like a lot of assignments are being due because people wanted an extension in class. I mean, me too, I'm not gonna lie. But I guess people were in the chat saying like on Zoom, they were like saying like, oh, is this due this day? Like we should push it back. And she was kind of like saying like, guys, like, you know, we can't really push it back because then we're gonna get backtracked. And as she was saying that, she's constantly, like, since this class started, a lot of people don't turn on their camera, and she had already sent out like an email. She had already reached out to us in person, like not reached out, but she had already expressed herself in person saying like, you know, it's different that I can't see your guys' face, or, you know, I'm not really getting enough feedback when you guys don't have your camera on. So she constantly has been expressing herself in that way, but people still choose not to turn on the camera. So that day, this Monday, she was just talking again saying like, guys, you know, I know it's tough for you guys, it's also tough for me too. And she was just expressing, venting out. And then as she's talking, I noticed her eyes are starting to get watery, and I'm like, no. I'm doing my hair, and then it hit me like, OMG, I totally wrote about this professor in my gratitude journal like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I got so excited, and literally I stopped doing my hair and I was like, I need to find my gratitude journal. I need to take a picture of where I put her name, and I need to send it to her so she knows. I had listed 3 things that I was grateful for, because sometimes the paper will tell you like what to do, or then other days it'll just be a blank sheet of paper and you could just write your gratitude for that day. But this time, for that day, it had asked to list 3 things you're grateful for and then make a list to explain why. So literally she was the first one there, because I had that class in the morning. That was like something that I was grateful for that morning, and then throughout my day I kind of put the other 2. So literally she was the first one. I put Professor P, and then on the side I literally put grateful because she took the time to explain question number 5 in more detail, and she still reached out after class to ask if like you know, I was okay with that. So to me, it's something so small, but it's something that I truly appreciate. I appreciate when people go the extra mile. I appreciate when people do things that aren't necessary, but they do it because they truly do care, and that's just the person they are. So I will always be thankful for any little thing. So yeah, I was grateful for that day. So I totally took a picture of it and I emailed it to her, and I was like, you know, I just want to share a piece of my gratitude journal because I want to show you that, you know, everything you do, you know, is appreciated. I think that was really beautiful. And to be honest, she would have never like known about like her being in my gratitude journal. Work is calling me, hold on. So I do remember feeling like, is that too extra to send? But I was like, no, because no, I want to send it out. I appreciate her. I'm grateful for her. She cried today during class, thinking, you know, or not thinking, but sharing that, you know, online teaching is so tough and stuff like that. So let me send this out to her, and, you know, that's a little reassurance. Life is too short, you know. After my grandma's passing, it just reminded me like, yeah, I 100% have to be pure and kind to all living beings, because what happens when they're gone, you wish maybe, or you probably regret. Imagine regretting like, oh, I wish I would have treated this person better, or, you know, something like that. I will leave the 2 books in my description box. I have to get back to work. I have to schedule a meeting for work. If you guys like this video, please give it a like, and